All right, it's Ebro Laura Rosenberg. Welcome to the program. Malcolm Mays, one time. Give it up for him.
Yay.
Malcolm,
Yeah.
yay. Yo, we've been trying to get Malcolm on for a little while. Malcolm's always been like, yo, bro, I want to come on your show. And I'm always like, all right, we'll figure it out. Now we finally figured it out.
This is a fact, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yo, Malcolm, before we get too far off into things, I saw on your Instagram you and our guy, Mac Wiles, working on a movie called Covers. And it was at the film festival. Y'all was just out in France, right?
We was just out in Cannes. You know what's so funny? We made that movie like over 10 years ago for less than $10,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and we got accepted out of competition in Cannes, which is still a massive honor. And yeah, we was out there. It's funny. It was based on a true story that happened. You know, when I'm from South Central Los Angeles, and there's my best friend Ant and his family. There's like they got a bunch of like brothers and sisters, and their mama is like my second mama, Mama Rose. And we had a conflict over one of the sisters had an issue with her baby daddy, and the shit it kind of went too far in our attempt to protect. And it was right as I was about to book this movie with 50 Cent called Southpaw, and I ended up going to jail. It was crazy, and it was a crazy situation, and I had to choose, like, kind of, you know, what I was going to do with my life, like if I was going to stay in the streets or if I was going to evolve and elevate and follow my passion. And a lot of people made a lot of sacrifices for me to be here, and that movie came from that. And I wrote that while out on bail shooting a movie with 50 Cent and Jay Gyllenhaal and shit. And we wrote, and I took that money, we made this little movie. And, you know, nothing really came of it because I'm a perfectionist. I never felt like it was good enough. Like, I never felt like it was $10,000. I didn't think it was that good. But my manager, Carissa, shout out to her, she sent it in to this, to the March to Film, which is out of competition for Cannes. And they not only wanted my short film, they wanted to screen the short and a version of the movie. And it went. And they asked us to come out there. And so I went. It was cool. It was like just a blessing out of nowhere.
So what happened with a project like this? I'm very ignorant to what happens now. You went. Now you want it or get selected at this film festival. Does this story now become something that we all get to see? Like,
yeah, I think I'm considering, you know, editing the longer feature version of the film and also using it I'm using it right now to leverage these meetings I'm having about the feature film that I'm directing and writing called Program. So right now I'm taking meetings to get my first feature length film made. And so this kind of helps. Now they're like, oh no, he know what he's doing. Like he not just an actor, he director, you know what I'm saying? He know what he's doing. Well, and so that's helped.
Also a part, you know, I've paid attention to some of your story. You brought up being from South Central and obviously, you know, getting into some things in the streets. Yeah. But your story is that of humble beginnings and taking whatever tools and skills that you had God-given in your community and actually turning that into the success you've seen, you know, as a grown man. And I would love to hear you talk a little bit more just about that, because so many people have aspirations that they never get to achieve because of detours, decisions, and things like that. How have you kind of tried to keep your focus and achieving your goals and not getting pulled back into that?
Well, I would be a liar if I tried to pretend like it's me. You know, that's cap. Like, it wasn't me. It was my grandmother being a prayer warrior. It's my mama being a prayer warrior, staying on me, my community. Like, I don't come from one of them hoods where, like, I say my teacher didn't believe I was gonna be shit. You know, every rapper be like, my teacher didn't believe I was gonna be shit. You know, there wasn't no food in the fridge. Like, yeah, when we didn't have food in the fridge, my neighbors hooked it up. My community looked out for me. When I was running with my peoples and doing what I was doing, that I had no business. Older OGs and gangsters in the neighborhood was like, you can't, you special. Like, don't do that. Like, even my homies would be like, bro, you with us because we grew up together, but you got something meant more for you. Like, so we gonna sacrifice and make certain moves and decisions to make sure you get where you going. So my community really rallied behind me, which is why I do things like my Ciola Marie Foundation, which is named after my mother and my grandmother. We doing a back to school drive in the jungles, which is where I'm from, in South Central, with Sharifa from Kith, and hopefully getting the Lakers involved, because my community is the reason I was able to stay focused and get here and do what I'm doing. So, like, my whole thing is just to make sure that they feel good and taken care of, because if I win, that's cool. But if I win and I bring everybody with me, then I feel more comfortable. I feel happy. Yeah, it's what else am we doing it for? Like, if it's just me, like I think Hov said it with unfortunately with his bro, about being the only billionaire in the room. It's stupid. It makes no sense. It's just capitalism for capitalism's sake. But community saved me, so why not re-inject that to my community, give it back, you know?
Do you feel like that sentiment that you're sharing with us right now is becoming more commonplace, or do you feel like we're still in a trajectory where people feel like it's only about them and they gotta succeed and leave the and quote leave the hood behind or leave people behind?
This is such a strange conversation to have in a modern gilded age, because we're in a post-capitalist society, right? Where like there's so much abundance, there's so much capital, there's so many different sectors, technology, business, and there's so much abundance while there's so much poverty. So all the people who win are really winning. Like we all got like way more than we actually
And the
really,
winner
really
and the
need.
winners are winning
Yeah.
more. Like
The
it's
winners
like,
are
yo,
compounding their wins. It's
yeah.
crazy. And then the impoverished seem to have to pay $15 for fruit. It's fucking crazy. So I think that the people who have won, we all got this survivor's remorse and survivor's guilt, and then we have also the hood tax. So I see a lot more people from my element giving back, but it's not necessarily systemic, right? It's not like an endemic solve to a problem. It's putting a band-aid on a gaping wound, because we really need is systems in place, government policies. We need jobs. We need people being trained for jobs in modern technology. We need these kids to close the educational gap, the resource gap, access, and better home life, right? We need like a holistic approach.
Right.
So us just giving backpacks and giving shit is like, that really eases our guilt and it helps us, and it's what we should be doing because people
But it's
need
not
it.
it's not bringing love into somebody's toxic home. You know what I mean?
No,
It's not
no,
making it's not helping a kid understand the importance of, and you know, I'm corny. I talk about this, maybe this is why we don't have a lot of celebrity friends, but you know, we get on the air and we talk about sleeping. Like we
yeah,
literally will get on the morning show and be like, "Yo, sleep is important. Drinking water is important." Like,
Yeah,
it's,
we had a whole health conversation this morning, right before,
it's bad,
right before
but
you
it's
got on with
holistic. You
you.
can't, like, how you gonna get money and be prepared to be productive and learn science and physics and science, technology, engineering, mathematics, but you hungry? I know what it feels like to go to school hungry and still have to achieve. It's
right.
difficult, which is why the Black Panther Party was so instrumental in changing Los Angeles school public food, health, and that shit is important. It's not like just us talking and it's revolutionary. It's like no kids eating at school in the morning because they don't have the resources at home helps them study better, which therefore gives us, people who build things. Like it's just how it works.
Well,
So,
it also helps people love themselves and thus love their
right.
community, love their family, want to stay there and uplift one another, right? And bring value, like an actual value to the environment.
Instead of leave,
Can
Instead of
you
take the value away.
yeah,
can you talk about, because for our audience that's going to watch this and are listening to this, you came from a tough neighborhood, and you mentioned your grandma and your mom being instrumental in your career. But what was that first step? Like, how did you know that you wanted to be a writer, that you wanted to be an actor? Like, what was the first step? And tell me about your first break.
I think that goes back to family life because my pops was around in my life very early on. He was a really good father figure, and then something happened, and he kind of left for a little bit, and then we reconnected. But in that early years, he was a good pops. He was a good figure, and I think I associated as a young person family time, community, shit being nice. Like I didn't realize my hood was dangerous. I didn't realize where we grew up was tough or that we were poor because there was so much love. And that love was always centered around going to the movie theaters. They used to have drive-ins out in Pomona. My mom would, dad take me to the Pomona drive-in. We used to rent movies from Blockbuster, Hollywood rentals, and
Yo,
you feel the
sidebar. Yo, remember those days? I know everybody on here remembers those days where you would show up to the Blockbuster
Oh
and
my
yeah.
God,
everybody in the
yes.
community's looking for the movie for the night.
Yes.
And they
Like
all
you would
rented
see
motherfuckers.
everybody's like, "Yo, what you watching tonight? What you watching
Yeah.
tonight?"
And
It was
praying it wasn't all rented out. You're like,
I'll
man,
rent it
there's
out.
one
And that's
left.
what
Oh, the
and,
worst.
and then if your mama or your daddy didn't pay their little subscription fee, you couldn't rent no more movies.
Oh, and you were
It was
standing out the
so
counter.
Oh,
Yo,
the
you
late
standing out the
fees?
counter looking
Oh.
raggedy because of the late fees.
So to all the kids out there, before Netflix, I was right on that edge when Blockbuster was dying, where you could go to a place and rent a movie on VHS or DVD, and you had to return it like a library.
Yeah.
And before Netflix, and so I remember, that being such a communal experience. Look how happy we got at those
Right,
memories, how
right.
nostalgic it
Yeah.
was, and I connected peace, love, and community, and black, like ethnic, seeing black figures on screen in positive light in the early 90s that I grew up in, and from that experience. So it became instrumental to how I express love, how I communicate and articulate things that maybe I couldn't say in regular conversation. It was a safe space to say things that you couldn't say. Watching Spike Lee and John have gentrification conversations in Boys in the Hood, and that scene, and everybody clap instead of people look at you crazy. Like it was a safe space. It was a creative space. It was an honest space. It was a beautiful space. It was fun. You could watch James Bond go to a whole nother country. You know what I'm saying? You could watch, Denzel be in the Cayman Islands as a detective. Like it was crazy. And that feeling, it felt like a higher truth, like something that also helped me escape from where I was. And it reminded me of family. And I think from that moment, I fell in love with cinema, really.
Was being so close to it, did it make it more realistic, the idea that it could happen?
Being close to what?
Hollywood, physically, like the physical location.
Okay, let me clear this up right now. You ever seen Children of God, Children of Men, or no? Children of Men.
City of God.
City of God.
City of God. Yeah.
City of God, yeah.
Like the favelas is next. Is like over here,
right there. Yes.
It's Rio de Janeiro's right there. It's like that in LA, bro. Like I got homies who never been to the beach. We don't go.
By the way, it's the same. By the way, it's the same in New York. It's people in Brooklyn and Queens
who literally never
been to Manhattan.
Go. But I will say there is an awareness of the big city existing here that can help foster people's dreams, because they do know it's there, even if you can't be there.
It felt honestly like being outside of Valhalla, right? Like you got where all the rich people are, and you don't go over there. Like even when the riots happened, we didn't go over to Beverly Hills and destroy white people property. We destroyed property within our own community, which was the stupidest thing in the world. But that's because it was in proximity, and we didn't have really many connections. Actually, Hollywood felt a lot further away, to be honest. If I'm being honest.
Well, even and I guess in some regard too, it's funny. I have this conversation a lot with, with retail stores, right? Where you'll see kids not walk into a retail store, even though they're outside the store, because they feel like they don't belong in the store because prices, or they don't have the language. And so sometimes something can be right in front of you, but it feels so far away because you haven't been made to believe that you belong in there. It's a place that you belong.
And let's be real, Hollywood is a dirty ass street. Like it's not really a place. Like all the Hollywood people, like y'all don't live in Hollywood. Like all the media people, the mass communications that make up Hollywood, them niggas live in the Valley, they live in Connecticut, they live in New York, they live in Bahamas. Them niggas don't live in Hollywood.
Hollywood is a fake place. Yeah, it's not a real place.
It's not a real place. It's a dirty ass street. And anything about LA is really in the surrounding communities that I grew up in. Like the culture of Los Angeles is not on that street. So for me, the access to the producers, the access to the writing camps, the schools, those things that you were talking about, Ro, those were we were just kind of like annexed out, really, and it kind of felt like you had to have a connection to those people or those things to get in, to be completely honest. But and we kind of despised Hollywood a little bit. We was like anti-Hollywood. A lot of niggas from LA, we kind of like, oh, like Hollywood was used as an insult. like
oh, you Hollywood.
You Hollywood. Yeah, like
but now you did with John Singleton and you being in Snowfall. Did you have the John Singleton relationship just from being, John being from the area, you being from the area, and him always looking to embrace youth from the area? Because I heard that was a part of who he was too.
It's kind of like Kendrick having to go to the East Coast to get respected before he got respected in LA. Because LA didn't get it off the dribble. Like it wasn't our style of music off the dribble. Anybody will tell you in early 2005, early 2006, like it was two dope boys that fuck with Kendrick and who directed his video, the New York girl, and like we didn't really get it till later. It's the same thing that happened to me. John was a cinemaphile. He was an art historian. He wasn't just a boy from the hood. He was a boy from the hood who had higher aspirations of like art. And so the way I met him was because I ended up at an internship at Sony Pictures because I made a short film that got into some festivals like the Los Angeles International Short Film Festival. And that led me to a woman who hired me to work as an intern at Sony Pictures. And there I met the head of physical production at Sony Pictures. And Sony Pictures had a history of kind of putting people of color, directors of color, in position to do their first features. Robert Rodriguez made his movie over there, his first feature. John made his first feature over there. It was kind of their thing. And particularly Gary Martin, rest in peace, was the head of physical production, helped with that with John. So when he met me, he was like, oh, I got somebody I need you to meet. He didn't tell me who it was.
Got it.
So funny enough, I had to go make something, do something amazing, get this person. And John still wouldn't fuck with me. He was like, ain't nobody me. Fuck him. What are you talking about? He was very arrogant about it, as he should have been, because he just, everybody asking for a handout, and I didn't know him personally. I just admire him. But then I made a feature that ended up on the front of the New York Times, and he was like, oh no, this kid is serious. And then I went to Telluride with the film, and he was like, yeah, okay, this man is let me see what he's talking about. And then he invited me to a screening at the Skirball Museum via Gary, and I took my mama, and I knew who Hal Ashby was. It was called the Super, and that's when I kind of like, The Landlord was the name of the movie by Hal Ashby, and I knew who Hal Ashby was. I knew the director, and he was like, you 16, 17 years old, and you know who Hal Ashby is? I gotta fuck with you. And you from my neighborhood? Like, oh yeah, we on. So from that point, then the relationship became.
Because he saw that you wanted to do the work, you was doing the knowledge,
Correct.
and I think that's pretty common. Yeah, that's common too. Because I gotta say, even where my life is at right now, it's a lot of times you come across young people. They want to be in the game, but they just want to be in the game. They don't really. There's no real like. They don't want to do the work. And so you could give them tips on like, yo, you got to do this work. You got to go do this. You got to pay your dues here. You got to do X, Y, and Z. And then we'll see if you're ready to actually.
If you serious for real.
If you serious for real.
You're serious for real. And I was always serious. Like, I think John told me later on in life, because that happened when I was 16, 17. We then had a lifelong friendship up and down. Like, that was my dog. But I never asked him for shit. So he'd get mad at me. He'd be like, why you not using me as a resource? Because I felt like I didn't want nobody to be like, oh, it was handed to you. And I didn't want no man really having that over me. So I had this horrible relationship with nepotism, or what we would just call getting a leg up. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I just refused to kind of do it. And even when Snowfall happened, he and I had a falling out previously. So he didn't know I was auditioning for it. Me and Kim Harden brought me in for Snowfall, and I gave a performance that was so cold that he ended up seeing me and was like, nigga, where the fuck you been? I didn't know you was, he's like, what the fuck? And that's how that happened. But you got to self-motivate. You got to do it on your own. People got to feel like you're going to get it done whether they're going to participate or not. And then I think at that point, people want to support you and fuck with you,
There's a clip of yours that pops up on my timeline often about you talking about, your beginnings and the street and the world you grew up in and kind of people. And correct me, I think you know the clip I'm talking about. It's a viral clip. You're on a panel.
Oh, yeah, I was at Cambridge. I spoke at Cambridge.
At Cambridge. Tell the audience about what you were talking about on that panel.
Just the social injustice, the prison industrial complex, the injustice system, because of my relationship with incarceration in this country. They invited me to come speak because apparently someone was stupid enough to think I was intelligent. And so I went over there, and and they didn't know no better. And so I went over there and I was popping shit. And so apparently no one told me that it was going to be viral or that it was going to be recorded. And they caught a clip of me just drawing parallels between colonialism and modern day gangbanging and criminality, and the hypocrisy of basically just this country having built itself on the crux of minority workers, Jewish workers, Asian workers, black people, and doing it through violence and then criminalizing violence, right? Or criminalizing groupthink or criminalizing protecting one's group, when all of these things are through history. People have flags, people have colors, people have territories that weren't theirs, and they defend them with blood and ideology. Sounds a whole lot like gangbanging to me, so it's ironic that they have these harsh laws that punish us and criminalize us one day, and then the next day they're legal. So I tell people to be wary. I'm not justifying violence, I'm not justifying gangbanging. I'm just saying that, maybe gangs aren't limited to just people in our rap songs and music and culture. Maybe some of these countries.
Governments are gangs, police are gangs, corporate gangs. There's types of gangs. There's a lot of gang banging going on out here. Let's keep it real. There's a lot of gang banging.
But unfortunately, their marketing is better. So when we say gang member, we don't think of these companies, these corporate people. We think of people that look like me and you. You know, people that look like Rosenberg and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Gang.
A lot of gang banging. gang. Yo, Malcolm Mays, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you. So we will get the film with you. What's it called one more time? The one that was just at Cannes? Is it Cannes? Cannes? What do you call this place?
It's Cannes. I think it's Cannes. Cannes or whatever the fuck they be saying. But yeah, you'll get it eventually. But after I do another feature, I'll probably package the short with my feature. Like when I get done getting this one made. So that'll probably go together, hopefully.
And your character's name in Power Book is Lulu.
Yes, sir. Oh, and I wrote on them too. Go see them too. That's a hard series on Amazon. Go watch them too. I wrote.
And you're in that or just wrote it?
I wrote on it. I was the executive story editor. I wrote like 3 episodes. It's great.
That's really
amazing.
dope, bro. I'm excited to watch that.
Congratulations.
Yo, man, you getting
Lil Marvin is
you're getting a lot of bags, man. You got the acting bag, the writer bag, the director bag.
I'm just trying to show up.
Hey, listen, I'll do a lot of pocket watching, so you know what I'm saying?
He loves it.
Trying to see. That's my favorite. Yo, that's my favorite pastime to be like, yo, I'm watching. I see how much money's moving around out here.
I ain't got no money, baby.
Listen. Yo, listen. It's never what's on you, bro. It's what's in you. That's facts. Listen, Malcolm Mays, thank you for your time. It's been great seeing you today. Anything you want to, other than the movie on Amazon that you wrote on, and this one at Cannes, and obviously Power with 50 and all that. Anything else we didn't cover today?
Yeah, them too. Go watch it. Little Marvin is a Genius, and it's on Amazon. It's one of the best series out. Shout out to Sasha Penn for Power Book, and of course, shout out to 50, and of course we got music coming. I got music coming with Joey. I got music coming with Brent.
Wait, music?
Yeah, I wrote on Brent's album. That's why I was with Brent. Brent's my dog. That's like my little nigga. Yeah, that's my dog. Excuse me, he's a big boss now. He got $1 Million Baby going crazy now. So
Tommy Richmond's going nuts.
Yeah, he's an executive now.
Brent told us, didn't Brent try to run this scam recently? Told us he was retiring or something?
Oh, so I'm not supposed to say it, but I'm gonna say it. You might get an exclusive right now. They're gonna kill me. So we came up with this idea talking about pocket watching. ERC, Early Retirement Club. It's the little thing we got coming. It's a little thing me and Brent.
So that's what the hell. Because I saw retirement, I was like, what are we talking about?
I mean, he is a boss like Tommy Richmond coming. He just chilling. We getting bags off the white man now. It's great. It's great. Shout out to him. You're back.
So listen, get us the music, man, when it's ready, man. Get it to us.
Absolutely. I got y'all for sure.
All right, man. We'll talk to you in a minute. Thanks, Malcolm.